Did you know that overly generous people sometimes face negative consequences in their relationships? Overly generous individuals can suffer compassion fatigue because of requests and expectations others put on them. This might surprise you, but it's a reality many face. Let's explore the complexities of generosity and uncover its darker side. Generosity is often seen as a universally positive trait. We admire those who freely give their time, resources, and energy. However, there's a darker side. We've all heard the saying, "It's better to give than to receive," and it's true. Generosity is a beautiful quality. We admire those who open their hearts and their wallets to help others. But what if I told you there's a flip side to this action, a darker side that isn't often talked about? Today, we will explore the world of generosity and how being too generous can lead to unexpected challenges. We'll discuss the importance of finding that perfect balance between giving and receiving. So, get ready to question everything you thought you knew about generosity. It might just change the way you see the world. There is a side to generosity that isn't often discussed. We'll explore how being too generous can lead to unexpected challenges and why finding a balance is crucial. Generous individuals often face several challenges that can take a toll on their well-being. One major issue is burnout. Imagine constantly giving your time, energy, and resources without taking a moment to recharge. It's like running a marathon without ever stopping for water. Over time, this relentless giving can leave you feeling exhausted and depleted, both physically and emotionally. Another significant problem is the lack of reciprocity. When your generosity isn't matched by others, it can lead to feelings of resentment and frustration. Picture this. You're always the one who stays late at work to help colleagues, or the friend who always picks up the tab. But when you need a hand, no one steps up. This imbalance can make you feel unappreciated and taken for granted. Additionally, generous people are often taken advantage of. Others might start to expect you to always be available to help, regardless of your own needs. It's like being the go-to person for everyone else's problem while yours pile up. This can create a cycle where your generosity is exploited, leaving you feeling used and undervalued. Let's add some color with real-life examples. Take Lisa, for instance. Lisa was always the first to volunteer for community events, often organizing fundraisers and charity drives. She loved helping others, but over time, the constant demands took a toll on her health. She found herself feeling constantly tired and stressed, with little time for her own family and personal interests. Lisa's story highlights how even the most well-intentioned generosity can lead to burnout if not managed properly. Then there's Alex, who was always known for being there for friends. Whenever someone needed help moving, advice on a project, or just a shoulder to cry on, Alex was there. However, this constant availability started to wear him down. He found himself neglecting his own needs and passions, feeling more like a support system than a friend. Eventually, Alex realized that his generosity was being taken for granted and he needed to set boundaries to protect his well-being. These stories show the emotional and financial repercussions of unchecked generosity. It's a tough pill to swallow, but sometimes being too generous can lead to more harm than good. You end up feeling taken for granted, and your own needs get pushed to the back burner. Stoic wisdom offers valuable insights here. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By setting boundaries, you protect your mental and emotional well-being, ensuring that your thoughts remain positive and focused on what truly matters. Seneca also emphasized the importance of self-care, noting that we must first take care of ourselves before we can effectively help others. So what's the takeaway here? It's all about balance. Generosity is a beautiful trait, but it needs to be balanced with self-care and boundaries. By setting boundaries, you can still protect yourself while still being kind and generous to others. This balance will lead to more fulfilling and sustainable relationships. Let's look at some real-life examples of how unchecked generosity can backfire. Take Scott, for instance. Scott was always the go-to guy at work. He'd volunteer to drive his colleague Stephanie to work daily since they had the same employer. Not only that, but he often stayed late to help her finish her tasks. At first, it seems like a noble thing to do, but over time, Scott's constant giving led to severe burnout. He was exhausted, his health took a hit, and his personal life started to crumble. All that generosity left him feeling drained and unappreciated. Then there's Mark. Mark was the kind of guy who'd lend his tool to his friends and family without a second thought. He never expected anything in return, which sounds great in theory. But eventually, Mark found himself in financial trouble. He had given away so much that he didn't have enough left, and when he needed help, no one stepped up to return that favor. Mark's story highlights the financial strain of being overly generous. These stories show the emotional and financial repercussions of unchecked generosity. It's a tough pill to swallow, but being too generous can sometimes lead to more harm than good. You feel taken for granted, and your needs get pushed to the back burner. So, what's the takeaway here? It's all about balance. Generosity is a beautiful trait, but it needs to be balanced with self-care and boundaries. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely noted, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Use your time and resources wisely. Make sure your generosity doesn't come at the expense of your own well-being. By setting boundaries, you can protect yourself while still being kind and generous to others. So, you're one of those people, aren't you? Always there for everyone. Ready to lend a hand. No questions asked. You're the friend who's always got your back. The neighbor who's always there to lend a helping hand. You're basically a human superhero. But let's be real. Being a superhero can be exhausting. You're always giving, and sometimes it feels like you're running on fumes. You start to feel drained, a little resentful, and maybe even a bit used. And it's not just you. A study found that people who feel that their generosity is being exploited reported higher stress levels and dissatisfaction in their relationships. It's like pouring water into a cup with a hole in it. No matter how much you pour in, it's never full. You're so busy taking care of everyone else, you forget about yourself. Your own needs get pushed to the side, and you start to feel burnout. It's like running a marathon on an empty stomach. It's just not sustainable. So, what's the solution? Boundaries. Yeah, I know. It sounds scary, but think of boundaries like a sturdy fence around your garden. They protect what's inside without keeping the good stuff out. Boundaries help you manage your time and energy more effectively, so you can give without giving too much. They also teach others to respect your limits and appreciate your efforts. Remember, generosity is a beautiful trait, but it needs to be balanced with self-respect and self-care. By setting boundaries, you're not being selfish, you're actually being smart. You're ensuring that your giving nature enhances your life and relationships rather than causing harm. So, take a moment to reflect on your own boundaries. Are you protecting your well-being? Are you giving sustainably? Because when you strike that balance, you'll find that your relationships become more fulfilling, more genuine, and more lasting. You'll be a superhero who can actually enjoy the cape. So as we conclude, here's the deal. Being generous is awesome. It's a beautiful quality that can make the world a brighter place. But let's be real. It's easy to get caught up in the joy of giving and forgetting about ourselves. That's where boundaries come in. Think of them like a sturdy fence from your garden. They protect what's inside without keeping the good stuff out. By setting boundaries, you're not being selfish, you're actually being smart. You're making sure that your generosity doesn't turn into burnout, and you're preventing strained relationships. Remember, it's totally okay to say no. It doesn't make you a bad person, it just means you're taking care of yourself. And hey, let's talk about uniqueness. You're one of a kind with your own special talents and quirks. Don't be afraid to embrace them. Walk your own path, head held high. You've got this. Have you ever experienced the dark side of being too generous? Share your stories in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more content on setting healthy boundaries and living a balanced life. Your support helps us reach more people and spread positivity. Until next time, stay true to yourself and keep shining. Free Thinker, out.